Hello and a very warm welcome. This is the news on NTA International. My name is Justin. Look at the major stories. COVID-19 update. European Medicines Agency approves Moderna coronavirus vaccine. Nigeria's Defense Industries Corporation strategizes towards local content development. Plus, new non-members of United Nations Security Council pledge allegiance to council tenets. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Now let's begin from the security issues, where Minister of Defense Bashir Saliu Magashi says the Nigeria's Defense Space Administration is to be upskilled with supply of equipment from the U.S. Space Force to enhance its capabilities to support the fight against insecurity in the country. The minister disclosed this while hosting a delegation. Secretary, U.S. Air Force Barbara Barrett at the Ministry of Defense headquarters in Abuja. He appealed to the U.S. Secretary to speed up the release of some Super Tucano aircraft procured by the federal government. A statement by the Special Assistant on Media and Publicity to the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Abdul Qadir, says the visiting head of the U.S. military delegation, Barbara Barrett, is the 4th woman and 25th to occupy the position as Air Force Secretary. Now, the military in the year 2020 rescued over 1,000 abducted victims, including the Kankara school children in Katsina State. In this special report, defense correspondent Ismail Musa examines some of the major high and low moments of the armed forces in the past year.
At the Nigerian Army Super Camp in Northeast Nigeria, and these highly mobile combat-ready troops keeping an eagle eye on the Northeast have in the year under review eliminated several terrorists, destroyed criminal cell locations and rescued many abducted victims. With different joint military operations ongoing in different parts of the country, records from the defense headquarters show that in 2020 alone, the armed forces rescued over 1,000 kidnapped victims, including the Kankara school children. These achievements were facilitated by upskilled training activities, procurement and production of arms and equipment, deployment of troops and platforms to various theater of operations. While commending the feat, President Muhammadu Buhari in his New Year broadcast noted that the nation's security apparatus must strategize to combat the current crime wave.
Some of the key priority areas will direct our attention and strength to include re-energizing and reorganizing the security apparatus and personnel of the armed forces and the police, with a view to enhance their capacity to engage, push back, and dismantle the operations of both internal and external extremists and criminal groups waging war against our communities in some parts of the country.
Typical with operations, there were low moments. Troops paying supreme sacrifice, including the ambush and killing of Colonel Ahiru Bako, who was posthumously promoted to the rank of a brigadier general.
Well, I commend your efforts. We must redouble our efforts to completely eliminate all acts of insurgency, kidnapping, banditry, separatism, and other forms of security threats from every inch of our beloved country.
As the nation and the military march into the year, the defense headquarters appeal to the public to see the task of securing Nigeria and Nigerians as a collective responsibility by providing constant, credible intelligence report to security agencies. This is to enhance proactive rather than reactive operations. Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Still talking security, Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, is re-strategizing towards producing more arms and ammunition, among other logistics, through local content development initiative. This is to re-equip the Nigerian armed forces with sufficient hardware for sustained fight against insecurity. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachuku tells us more on the retreat to that effect by the corporation in Kaduna.
Based on the presidential order for the Nigerian Armed Forces to look inward in the provision and procurement of military hardwares, Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, DICON, has imbibed the initiative of local content development.
National security demands a new priority.
This strategic meeting of principal officers of the corporation is to take stock of prospects of local production of military and paramilitary hardwares and plan to reposition the industries through innovation in local content application, taking into account the role of top management personnel. Increased funding for research and development, prudent management of resources, team spirit and collaboration. Director General of the Corporation, Major General Victor Ezugu, says will continue to be the focus of the industry as it goes ahead to support the ongoing fight against insurgency, banditry and other crimes through hardwares.
This year, we are looking forward to two major activities of DICON. First is that we are looking forward to commencing the DICON Institute of Technology by September. Secondly, there are other areas of new products. Some of them include drones and other arsenals of war that we are hoping that will support the armed forces in bringing the war against insurgency in the northeast and other parts of the country to a logical conclusion this year.
These senior officers of DICON are expected to cross-fertilize ideas in the next couple of days on how to further strengthen the industry towards achieving the desired change this year. Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachuku.
Now, 5 newly elected non-permanent members of the United Nations Security Council have pledged to uphold the tenets of the Council. Representatives of the countries made this known in a flag-raising ceremony to mark the start of their 2-year terms at the UN headquarters. Adebola Brooklyn on the reports.
The United Nations Security Council has 15 members, 5 of them permanent, while the other 10 are non-permanent members and are usually elected for 2-year terms by the General Assembly on a regional basis. Under the UN Charter, all member states are obligated to comply with the Council's decisions.
National flag of
the 5 members represent Mexico, India, Ireland, Norway, and Kenya, which defeated Djibouti in the contest for the seat available for the African group.
We will listen. We will speak up boldly for Africa, for small island developing states, for the global south, and for all countries, great and small.
Protection of civilians and climate and security will be our guiding priorities.
We will not shy away from raising our voice against the common enemies of humanity like terrorism.
A new voting arrangement was adopted, taking into cognizance restrictions in place due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
Across the world today, we know that there are millions of people living in fragile contexts that risk being pushed over the edge.
We will uphold multilateralism with the firm conviction that it is the cornerstone of the global order.
The Council's non-permanent members' terms will end on 31st December 2022. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
Now let's turn to the judiciary, where following the approval of the appointment of Justice Salisu Garba as the acting Chief Judge of the FCT High Court by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Chief Justice of Nigeria has sworn in the head of the FCT judiciary with a call for greater dedication to upholding the rule of law in Nigeria. Femi Okeo has the details.
Justice Salisu Garba has been in the judiciary of the Federal Capital Territory in the last 32 years, rising through the ranks and now to become the head of the court, acting for now. It is this wealth of experience and peculiar knowledge of the FCT judiciary that the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, while swearing him in, said he should bring to bear in improving justice dispensation in the FCT judiciary.
You are carrying a lot of responsibilities on your shoulders. If, for instance, you were working 14 hours per day before, you now have to double to meet up with the demands of your new office, with a very clear warning: don't overwork yourself.
Speaking to NTA News after taking his oath, Justice Salisu Garba promised to make the FCT judiciary a model for other courts.
The task is enormous. I will try my best to see that I've carried everybody along and succeed.
In the hierarchy of courts, the FCT judiciary is just like any other state judiciary. But because it is the Federal Capital Territory, there is so much interest in the matters that come to this court. There are so many political and civil cases that impact generally on the polity of Nigeria, which is why there's so much interest on the headship of the court. From the Supreme Court, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
In the meantime, Justice Ahmed Mohammed of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has ordered counsel to the All Progressives Congress and that of Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki to file their final written addresses to enable the court deliver its judgment within the stipulated time. He stated these after the defense team closed their case. And correspondent Olabode Arewa reports.
The pre-election matter was filed by the All Progressives Congress and one of its members in Edo State, William Sedobo. They are seeking the disqualification of Governor Godwin Obaseki from participating in the 2020 Edo governorship race, alleging that he submitted false certificates to INEC while filling his Form EC9. At the resumed trial Wednesday, Obaseki's counsel, Ken Mozia, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, called another witness, Professor Ehosa Osagi, who tendered his own bachelor degree certificate from the University of Ibadan, and told the court that from his own experience, he observed that since the UI certificates are larger in size than the A4 paper commonly used in making photocopies, making copies of such certificates might leave out some of the information on such certificates. He also testified that he attended the University of Ibadan for 3 years, just like the first defendants. With the PDP and Governor Obaseki closing their cases this Wednesday and INEC not calling any witness in support of his case, the judge ordered parties to exchange their written addresses so that they could adopt him on Thursday.
We came in prepared to do battle. We have done it. And we expect that we should win. That's the confidence we have.
So the idea was to give the court enough room and give us enough time, at least a little bit of time, to prepare our respective addresses.
Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Relatively, a federal high court sitting in Ikeja has sentenced the former managing director of Finbank PLC, Oke Nwosu, to 3 years imprisonment for stealing 18 billion naira from the bank. The presiding judge, Justice Latifat Okuno, also ordered the convicted other defendant, Dayo Ademoroti, to refund the stolen money, while the third and fourth defendants were also given punitive sentences. This is the news on NTA International, reaching you from Abuja. Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
I am there now. Are you sure this will work? Pastor, I can't miss this guy's lecture. Just keep your phone on so I can listen.
Today we're going to be discussing sleep disorder. What is the medical term for sleepwalking?
Sonambulism.
Correct. Get free Intel to Intel calls and experience HD quality conversations every time. Intel. Live more. The the counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Well, thank you for staying with us. Appropriate technologies will be deployed by the federal government in the renewed efforts at bringing to an end all acts of crime and criminality undermining national security and socio-economic well-being of the country. Governor Abubakar Sami Bello of Niger State, who disclosed this while speaking to newsmen after an audience with President Muhammadu Buhari, reassured Nigerians that the nation's security situation will not be the same this year. Details of this report will be brought to you in our subsequent bulletin. And now moving on, the Nigeria Customs Service has surpassed its revenue target by over 200 billion naira in the year 2020 as it doled out 1.56 trillion naira as against 1.38 trillion naira. The Comptroller General of Customs, Colonel Hamid Ibrahim Ali, retired, said the feat was as a result of resolute pursuit of what is right and willingness to adapt to changes brought about by the global health challenges occasioned by COVID-19. A statement from the Nigeria Customs Service Public Relations Officer Joseph Atta says the revenue generation profile has continued to be on the rise annually because of strict compliance to the ongoing reforms in the service. The statement says the partial border closure, which forced cargoes to come through the sea and airports, raised revenue collection from ports, adding that before the commencement of the border drill on 20th August 2019, revenue generation was between 4 billion naira to 5 billion naira. But now, the service generates between 5 billion naira to 9 billion naira daily. It adds that diplomatic engagements that took place during the partial land border closure yielded many positive results, including commitment to comply with the ECOWAS protocol on transit and operationalization of joint border patrols at both sides of the border, while assuring of total commitment to the cause of protecting national security and economy. The statement calls on Nigerians, especially the business community, to support the service as borders open to African Continental Free Trade Agreement in order to benefit from the trade agreement and other cross-border activities. And now turning to health matters, European Medicines Agency approves Moderna coronavirus vaccine. This is just as UK judge denies bail for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Joyce Ometo gives us details of these and other stories trending on the global scene.
As the spread of coronavirus worsens, Nigeria has hit another landmark, recording 1,354 new cases. Now, this figure brings the total number of infections in the country to 92,705. Meanwhile, global cases now exceed 87 million with 1.8 million fatalities. Now, a World Health Organization team due to investigate the origin of COVID-19 in the city of Wuhan has been denied entry to China, claiming that their visas was not yet approved. The WHO's Director General, Tedros Adhanom, has expressed his dismay.
I'm very disappointed with this news, given that 2 members had already begun their journeys and others were not able to travel at the last minute. But I have been in contact with senior Chinese officials, and I have once again made it clear that the mission is a priority for WHO and the international team.
Meanwhile, as authorities accelerate the rollout of vaccines aimed at curbing the pandemic, Moderna's coronavirus jab has become the second to receive approval from Europe's medicines regulator. The final step is approval by the European Commission, which is expected to follow quickly. And reports from Russia say the country has inoculated 1 million people against COVID-19 with its Sputnik V vaccine. Russia, which has the world's fourth highest number of COVID-19 cases, started large-scale vaccinations last month. No new adverse reactions have been reported so far. Away from the pandemic, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange has been denied bail. A UK court ruled on Wednesday and will remain in prison while lawyers for the US government try to secure his extradition. The bail ruling comes days after the same judge found that Assange could not be legally extradited to the United States to face espionage charges due to concerns about his mental health and the risk of suicide. In Africa, at least 22 civilians have been killed in a rebel attack on a village in the North Kivu province of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Donat Kibwana, the administrator of the Beni territory, said the violence in Mwenda village was allegedly perpetrated by the Ugandan rebel group Allied Democratic Forces. And that ends the segment. I am Joyce Ometu.
Now, the Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene, PWASH, launched in 2016, is one of the programs developed by the government of the day to turn around the discerning statistics of access to water supply in Nigeria. Musbao Danwahab, who has been interrogating the program, reports that 4 years down the lane, PWASH has brought some gains to hundreds of rural communities of the country.
That is how it is now easy in Irolu Remo, Ikenne local government area of Ogun State, to access safe water. Thanks to PWASH, which has brought life to this community that was once in dire need of a commodity. PWASH was born out of necessity in 2016 for an all-inclusive bottom-up effort to quench the thirst of millions of Nigerians, particularly at the grassroots. The federal government led the way. Kano and Ogun States were the first to meet the criteria for the pilot phase.
The state will prioritize according to the budget they have for the year. And then we say, look, if it is 4 that we are going to address this year, federal government will take 2 local governments, state government will take 2 local governments. So on 50-50 basis.
Overhead tanks are the new common features across the selected communities, and the hitherto scarce commodity is now being taken for granted. PWASH is also addressing the most nagging issues of poor attention and maintenance usually associated with government's water projects in local communities.
We've organized ourselves as the maintaining group. We were raising 200 naira per family to sustain it, and per house is 500 naira, those that have it extended into their compound.
This to contribute the money is fair. It's better, far better than to buy water, because a keg is 20 naira we are buying. So we cannot, in a month we contribute that 200. We use water of 600 before the month finished, so we really thank God for this water they brought for us.
About 800 new rehabilitation or water projects have been executed across 8 local government areas in Ogun and 8 in Kano.
Many local communities that have been forgotten, and there is like they don't know they are existing in Nigeria, are the ones that have been addressed.
By these modest efforts, additional 2.4 million Nigerians have gained access to water supply in the last 12 months.
But then, more than 50 million Nigerians are still yearning for access to safe water across the country.
With the current figures, with the current rates of accessibility to both water and sanitation, and the SDGs that are happening in 10 years from now, the rate will need to be much faster.
While the second phase of PWASH has started in 10 other states, only Rivers and Borno states, as well as the FCT, are yet to sign up for the partnership. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari joins Nigeria Labour Congress and Nigerian workers to celebrate pioneer president of the Congress, Hassan Adebayo Sonmonu, on his 80th birthday. In a statement by Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity Femi Adesina, President Buhari affirms that the former Secretary General of the Organization of African Trade Union, Unity, left a strong legacy in the public service and fought diligently for an improved welfare of the Nigerian worker. institutionalizing a national minimum wage and minimum pension scheme, and consistently negotiating with public and private sector employers on better packages for workers. As the identical twins turn octogenarians, the president extols their courage and discipline in always accepting to serve the nation, believing that their knowledge and experiences will continue to inspire many into public service and pressure groups, which continue to work with governments in fostering development. President Buhari prays for good health and longer life for Son Monu and his brother Hussein. And also, President Muhammadu Buhari has joined sport lovers, family and friends to celebrate Christian Chukwu on his 70th birthday, describing him as a multi-talented player whose contributions led to the development of sports in Nigeria through the provision of technical leadership for national teams. In a statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, the President commends efforts of the former captain of Rangers International, Enugu, in strengthening the local league, which has over the years been a major feeder of the national team and produced players that have featured in some of the best teams and championships in the world. The President prays for improved health, strength, and longer life for the former Super Eagles captain. Now let's join our sports desk for trending stories.
Welcome to Sports Update. I am Badi Adeleye. Let's begin by letting you know that the Nigeria under-17 football team, the Golden Eaglets, are getting set to take on their Ivorian counterparts in their opening match at the Wafu B under-17 Championship in Lomé, Togo. Coach Fatah Mo's boys, who concluded their magnetic resonance imaging test on Tuesday night, say they are gunning for the 3 points. Meanwhile, Nigeria's Enyimba International are currently taking on Al-Merrikh of Sudan in the second leg of their CAF Champions League first-round fixture. The People's Elephants lost the first leg 3-0 away and must overturn the deficit to progress to the second round. Still talking football, the German FA Cup, better known as the DFB Pokal, continues on NTA Lagos Network Center with second-round matches billed for the 12th and 13th of January to be beamed live. Confirming the development, Zonal Director NTA Lagos Network Center, Lawal Ahmed, revealed that the station is positioned to play a major role in sports content delivery.
For the very first time, one out of the so many stations in NTA is chosen to play this critical role of entertaining football lovers.
And finally, the new permanent secretary of the Ministry of Youth and Sports Development, Nebulisa Anako, has promised to consolidate on the achievements of his predecessor, Gabriel Aduda.
That will continue where he left, along the same line, and build on it. And innovations going forward is welcome. I'm always open to ideas.
The new man in charge, who becomes the 13th permanent secretary of the ministry, declared his readiness to work tirelessly with the minister Sunday Dari in order to achieve the ministry's set goals. And that concludes Sports Update. I am Badi Adeleye.
Now let's take a look at weather forecast for Thursday in Nigeria and other major cities of the world. And weather forecast there ends the news on NTA International. But before we go, remember to connect with NTA against rape and rapists. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Justin Bemuyi.